What's up everybody, it's Shadow here. I was going to be making a tutorial for you guys today, and I'm going to be showing how you can make a basic speaker with some branding concepts. What I was actually going to be making is a small micro speaker. I don't know if you guys have seen like those speakers that plug into the auxiliary port inside of a iPod or anything. But that's basically what I was going to be making. So if you guys are ready, then yeah, let's go. So I'm going to start out with a cylinder. We're going to make the radius actually pretty wide. So I was going to be doing either 120 or 125. And then I'm going to be making the top part a little smaller. So I'm going to be doing 100. And this is only going to be for one little speaker part. My idea for this is I'm going to have a logo branded on the top. This is going to be rounded off, and then there's going to be a spring kind of deal, and then there's going to be the rest of it. So what I'm going to be doing right now is start this off. So I'm going to start out with a cap, and this one's actually going to have a pretty big cap. This is kind of different from what I'm used to doing because this is kind of miniature. And I've been making kind of like bigger designs. So I'm going to do a 10 centimeter cap. And by the way, if you ever want to do like realistic kind of deals, you're going to have to make these a lot smaller because a 3D printer will make that 10 centimeters actually 10 centimeters, which is kind of crazy and makes everything huge. Alright, actually, I'm going to make this a little bigger than 100 centimeters. I think I'm going to be doing 150 centimeters instead. And this one will also be 150 centimeters. 1,000. So I saw these cool little capsule things, kind of like from what the guy said it was from Ninja Turtles or whatever, and I was like, alright, well, Ninja Turtles are gay, but whatever. You guys may have different opinions than I do, but, you know, I just figured I'd share mine. So this one's going to be at negative 300 centimeters. And then for this center part, we're going to do a clear cylinder. But I normally don't texture anything until the end. So 200, and then that's 120. And this one's not going to have any caps at all. This one's just going to go right in the middle, and then we're going to thin it out. So this will be around there. So I'll make this on 90. If you guys are actually going to be copying exact measurements, if I don't get all of my measurements, I'm going to be putting them all down in the description maybe. Because I kind of need, like, if you guys want to actually use this, I think that it'd be kind of good to actually have the right measurements and everything. Alright, so these ones are actually different from the main tube itself. So these ones are going to be 100. And this is just going to go around the actual tube, like clear cylinder itself. What I'm going to be doing is grabbing a sweetener, and then you grab a circle, and the circle is going to be 20 or 10. So I'll try 10 first and see how that goes. Alright, 10 is pretty good. So actually I'm going to make that smaller. I'm going to try 5, which looks better in my opinion. So I'm just going to copy that, paste that, and then I'm going to rotate this one. So that way it looks like there's a double spiral. And from what I'm going on here, actually I have to bring these up a little bit because if you can't tell, it didn't properly go up all the way. Alright, there we go. Now it's got a double cylinder, it's got the double loop, and it's perfect. I'm actually going to bring this one down more. So that way there's a thicker tube. I kind of like how this is going to work out so far. These are going to be smaller. There we go. 110 works. So what I'm going to be doing from here is I was going to make a play button on the top, or a branded logo on the top and then have the buttons on the side. So I was thinking about just trying both to see what happens. And if I don't do both, then I'm going to stick with whichever one I did first, because that'll probably be the one that looks better in the end. So this one's going to have a cap. This one is going to have 15 segments. And then this one's not going to have a high radius. This one's only going to have like 3 or 4. So this one's at 3, which is perfect. And this is at 50 centimeters right now, and I have to make the height a lot smaller than where it's at right now. So we're going to do 40 for height. Alright, and then we're going to duplicate this. This one's going to be at 52 or 51. We'll try 51 first to see how that looks. And then we're going to grab a bool. So the first cylinder we made is going to go in here, and then the copied one is going to go in there as well. And then as you can see, it should have made a little indent at the top. 1 second. Alright, so I'm going to bring this one up a little more and see what happens. Actually, this one's going to probably be better at 52 because it didn't make a large enough indent in the sides. And as you can see, there's the indent right there, and the button actually looks great. The helixes I'm going to have to make thinner, because if you can't tell, they're like really, really off-center. So I'm going to put these at 90 as well. So that way they're the exact same size as the tube. Which actually, that seems to look a lot nicer than what I had before. What's going to be cool about what I'm doing here is, instead of, you know, like the standard, it's springy and it expands, it contracts kind of deal, I was going to do that and have it look like something else, like, as well. So actually, now that I think about it, this is actually going to be better layered up. So we're going to move this one up 25 centimeters. We're going to shrink this. We're going to make this 90. And then we're going to have the bowl, because this would probably make it look better. Alright, perfect. And then now we're actually going to get this bowl to work out a lot better than what it was doing before. Perfect. And now, for good measure, we'll put this one, copy, paste, and since this one is at 24, this one was at 300, I think, or negative 300. Nope, it was less than that. Alright, so now we'll just bring this down, copy that, and then we're going to put this on at 50, so that way it's symmetrical to the one below it. And this one, again, you're going to have to change the cap to 3. So I think that's what I put on the top one. Yep. Alright, perfect. So that top button is going to be the power, or the play button. The bottom button, I'm going to make the power button. Actually, better yet, I'm going to make that the speaker. Since this is supposed to be a speakerphone anyway. I'll make this part the speaker, and actually, yeah, and then I'm going to make this the power button. Alright, so we're going to copy that. And yes, I do know that you can do Control, or Command V, Command C, and all that, but unfortunately, my version of Cinema 4D is like weird. I bought mine, and this was scratched, so I didn't actually get everything. And when I tried to actually like download it onto my computer, it kept canceling. So I just took what I got and kind of dealt with what I had. But this should work anyway. Alright, and then we're going to take cylinder. The cylinder is going to be really, really thin. It should be 2. And we're going to put an array on it. So we're going to put this in the array. And then the array has to have a small, small, small radius. So we're going to do this as 80 for radius. And as you guys can see, that looks perfect. And we'll do 20 for that. And we're going to copy this, paste it, and then we're going to make the radius even smaller. So this one's going to be 70. And then we're going to add 2 more from what we just had. Paste. And we're going to have this one at 60. And then this one's going to have the same amount as before. Alright. Oh, I think this one's a little off. Oh, there we go, perfect. Alright, so there's only one more that you need. Alright, so we're going to have this one up high. We're going to copy those, paste those. We're going to put another bool in. We're going to grab all 3 of these, we're going to put them in a group. We're going to put that there. And this bool is going to go in there as well. We're going to subtract that. We're going to group these. We're going to bring these ones down as well. Alright. And then we're going to do the same exact thing on the other side. So kind of a simple start, which isn't bad. I mean, most people like complex or like really complex kind of designs. I like kind of simple-ish, you know, designs, only because you can get way more out of it. You can make them a lot more complex, and I think simple yet complex at the same time is actually a lot better than trying to do something over-the-top complex and then making it look bad. That's just my opinion, though. I mean, everybody has their own opinion. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to see this properly. I think I actually got that just about right. Alright. And then what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to add the play buttons and stuff on the side. So I'm going to add a volume button. So I'm going to add one volume button here, one volume button here, and then I was debating on doing a bass button and treble button, like as a subtract and minus button. I think that it'll probably look better with just the volume button and probably bass, because not many people really seem to focus on the treble of their music. But I like messing around with everything. So that should be good right there. That's just the right measurement too. We're gonna make this actually go all the way through. So I'm gonna make that go back right like that. This one is gonna have more details in it than most of my other designs, only because I think that something of legitimately this low of complexity needs a little more to it than just standard everything, or the standard things that I use on everything else. So copy these, paste these, and then we're gonna bring these all the way down to the bottom. Alright. And as you can tell, I put these down way too far. So these ones are going to be moved up to right there. So as you guys can see, this kind of looks like a capsule container now with the little spring here. The only reason I actually added the spring is to add more of a feel to it. Just because not every glass container, or well, most glass containers are very, very breakable. So even though that this is only just a model, I kind of wanted to add that whole safety factor to it so that way it didn't break. Most people don't really think about that when they go into modeling, but I mean, I figured that it'd be worth a shot. So now I'm gonna fillet all these, and as you can see, that's way too high. That's 300, and that's over the top. So we're gonna do 2 centimeter. I'm gonna render this out so that we guys can see what I got so far. Yep. Alright, so that looks great. And then what I'm gonna do is add the volume buttons here, the base and base 2 right there. And one thing that I also do while I do my models anyway is I don't add buttons to it. Like, I don't add the what the buttons actually do. I learned this in class, and the only reason you don't do that is because when you actually give it to a client, sometimes they have a different idea than you do on what you actually are supposed to be doing with it. And since most of you guys know customers always right, you have to let them do what they want with it, which is why you don't label buttons. I didn't know that at first when I first started, but as I kind of got into it, I found out that that's what you're supposed to do. My teacher actually taught me that. He's like, when I was actually labeling buttons, I made the Game Boy SP and the attempted Game Boy Micro, which looks really, really bad. But those would be considered invalid designs only because they have labeled buttons. Because what I technically what I do is called blueprint designing. Most designers have blueprint designers, so the ones who make the templates for what they actually make with it. And I think that even though it's not as much as I wanted to do to start, it's still pretty cool to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these, paste these, and these ones are going to be grouped. While they're groups, I'm also going to have these highlighted, and then I'm going to be bringing them up too. And if you guys can hear my music, I'm sorry, but I needed something to do while I was making this. I'm going to take this cube right here, put this in the bool, and there you go, there's your buttons. Alright, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing down below. Actually, what I could do is this, and for those of you who like taking kind of an easier way to do this, I'll show you the easier way as well. Only because I know that this kind of stuff can be really annoying, is you can copy this and then paste this and then do the bottom part. But I like kind of doing this idea first. So I'm just going to show you the other way. So when you make this, just highlight this, copy, paste, drag down. And there you go, now you have all your buttons. Alright, so now I have my volume buttons, my base buttons, and now I need an auxiliary port. I'm actually going to add that on this side. So I'm trying to get use of every single cube that I have right now. I'm going to have an auxiliary cable here. And for the bottom one, I actually think I'm just going to leave those two for the design. I kind of like the feel of how this is actually looking so far. But right now, I'm going to have to make this, I'd say do 15 to 20. Only because auxiliary ports, this is based off of how big you want your design to actually look. I'm going to do 20 because 20 looks like it would probably be better. And then what you're going to do is grab another bool, put your cylinder in, and then grab the cube that you're working with and then put that in as well. And after that, you're going to have to do this, and this is a simple part, but some people don't know how I actually do it. Just going to shrink the radius on this. You're going to shrink the actual pipe radius, like the actual pipe itself. And just to make sure that I shrink this just enough, I'm going to look at it here. Pipe radius, I have it at 2, I believe. I'm not sure how big this actually is. And since this one's 15, I'm going to do 15 again. And just to make sure that these are perfectly lined up. Yeah, and see, this is why I wanted to make sure it was big enough. This one's at 20 now instead, because again, I forgot that I did 20 instead of. And then this one's going to be at 23-ish. No, 22 or 21. And then you're going to copy that. And then this one's going to be at 22. And then what you're going to do with these is you're going to slowly bring them up. And I'm just going to zoom in on this so that way I get better control of what I'm doing. Alright, we're going to put this midway through the first line. And since this one's the smallest one, you're going to do that again. Alright, I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Alright. And just so you guys get an idea of what that actually looks like now, I just tried to mimic the ripple effect in the actual auxiliary cable. See? Because most auxiliary ports have 2 or 3 ripple points in it. So I just mimicked that. And then after that, since we have the speakers, we have the buttons, we have everything, and now we're ready for materials. And if you guys want, I'm probably going to put these materials in the description. So first we're going to start out with the glass. I'm going to get this glass material. And then I need 2 or 3 metal materials. I'll take, just so that way you have options. And I'll take this one. And the buttons have to be a lighter metal. So you can take 3 types of lighter materials. And most often, like when you're working with this stuff, you're supposed to use plastic materials, and I have those too. But I prefer metal because it gives the shinier, glossier effect that most plastic materials that you can either A, download, or B, make yourself, they don't look as good. So I'm just going to show you guys what this looks like so far. And I'm also going to be picking materials out with you guys. So I'm going to group this all together. I'm going to rotate it sideways so that way it's at 90, negative 90. And we're going to have it kind of like that. I'm going to make a cube. And then I kind of act like a perfectionist here. I like making sure that it looks like it's actually where it's supposed to be. And there we go, it's perfect. And then we gotta give it some definition, so that way. And my Lightroom is a little bizarre. It's not in the center like most other people's. Whose Lightroom did I use before? I used, I think I used Frost's old Lightroom, and that was when I just started. I wound up figuring out that didn't really work to my best interest, but that's only because he's a banner designer and I do modeling, so it's nothing against him. Alright, so I'll start out with the materials that I know are going to be different, and then what I'm going to do here is, since this one's going to be, this is where I was going to try and show you guys the different part, and this one's fluid, and I thought that this was so cool. most people are probably gonna have it stand up, but it was like a weird kind of green oozy fluid, and I just thought it was really cool looking. So since I have that, I'm gonna bool it. And now that we have the bool, we just put these in. And instead of this kind of weird material, I have to get a green, well actually I'm going to start out with a liquid. And then I'm going to work into my liquid. Alright, so I think I'm going to take this one. And instead of a blue, I'm going to make this into green. Alright, and then I'm going to add glow to it to kind of give it that little ominous kind of creepy feel to it. We're going to make that one cubic. And just to see what that looks like, I'll render it out real quick. And you guys can see how that looks. Actually, I have a feeling like this might look better with the two mats like this. It might just be the reflection off my glass surface that makes it like this, but it's nothing good Photoshop can't fix. I don't think that that's exactly what I was looking for, but I'll figure it out. I think I'm going to leave that as normal, and what I'm going to do from here is just texture all the rest. And then if you guys want, I'll be right back. When I'm done texturing this, I'll come back and then I'll show you guys exactly what this looks like. Well, this is the final part of my design, and I hope that you guys like this. What I'm going to be doing is working on it in Photoshop, and then I will put the final image at the end and let you guys see what I did in Photoshop. Alright, well, this is tutorial number 1, and this is my liquid speaker, I guess. So, alright, peace out, guys.